Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and here we are with Valkia the Bloody, a character which is going to get a little bit of attention with Omens of Destruction, as there's a bunch of new units that are going to help her campaign. At the time of recording this video, she is the only Warrior of Chaos Lord that has access to these brand new units. And the basis of her campaign is going to remain the same if you've already been used to playing her since the Champions of Chaos has released. But there's a bunch of new units and they will change up your playstyle depending on how you pick them up. Some of them are going to be a little bit RNG focused, which I'm not too keen on, but let's jump in, let's talk about her campaign, because I feel like a lot of people are going to be quite curious since she is the only Warrior of Chaos with end times units. So quick note, most of the skills that do affect Warriors of Chaos of Khorne and, anything that's God touched, yep, they're fixed in there, they're in the tech trees and so on, but some of Valkyria's unique skill line, which affects stuff like, giving Vanguard to them and so on, unfortunately does not, which is a bit of a shame, because, yeah, Vanguard would be nice. Now, these units, the new ones, don't actually get recruited through the system of upgrades, so you won't be able to get chosen into Wrathmongers or something into Skull Reapers, and I think that's a bit of a shame, considering that yes, those are still mortal units. I've submitted this as feedback to Creative Assembly because, if you recall, when it came to the Rot Knights for Nurgle, yep, they can be upgraded, but you can't upgrade Chosen into Wrathmongers. It might be a weird thing considering that they're supposed to be kinda on par and not better. They're not really aspiring champions, which I find a bit weird, considering that the actual unlock chain for Skullblood Wrath calls them aspiring champions, but yeah. Instead, you'll find the Slaughter Brew and the Blood Beasts in the Gifts of Khorne. A slot normally reserved for demons, but I guess those ones are quite large, so it makes sense it's the same thing as the Toad Dragon. So that's perfectly fine, and it's not like your main incentive with a Warriors of Chaos faction is to use like doom stacks of Slaughter Brutes and Blood Beasts. So it does mean that you're going to have to wait a while. It's going to be using the same cap system, and they're fairly down the chain, by the way. So early on, Bloodletters, maybe even some Fleshhounds, but everything else usually mid to late game. Your Skull Reapers, Wrathmongers, and Khorngors will be found with the Warband recruitment system. So you'll be recruiting them on an RNG basis. It's very, very low at the beginning and then starts getting a little bit better as you start building more buildings dedicated to Khorne, more corruption, all the usual stuff. It does mean, sadly, that you are kind of stuck here, not picking up some of the best units, where Nurgle does get better with the Rot Knights. Rot Knights are like really, really good right now. So amazing Microsoft Paint skills at the moment, because I'm hoping maybe things will change. Some things do change post-DLC, keep that in mind. I'd love to see the Wrathmongers and Skull Reapers put above Khorne's Chosen, and then maybe put the Blood Beast there as a spawn upgrade. Like, you upgrade the Forsaken into spawn, or if you wait to an even higher rank, you can upgrade them to Forsaken. The spawn stuff and the Blood Beast stuff I don't care about too much, but the Wrathmongers and stuff should be natural progression. I think that's really important because they are centerpiece units. Plus, more natural progression is always good, especially Wrathmongers and Skull Reapers don't have a lot of tech for them, but the one that is there, especially for the Wrathmongers, is at the end. This is why I see them as like the natural progression route. I think it just kind of makes sense. But this video is not all complaining. Honestly, it's just something that kind of jarred me because I like the Skull Reapers. I really do. I feel like they perform really, really well. But let's go on to the other aspect here. Natural progression for Valkia, same as the other Chaos Warriors, is very interesting. You're incentivized to stay at the Chaos Waste. But you do have some big name enemies right next to you, which are going to start causing problems. So second armies coming in cheaper are always the best. This is where Bloodspeakers come into play, so they're the new generic Lord option for Khorne and can be used by Valkia. Also, they're cheaper in terms of upkeep from the very beginning, which obviously does mean that you're going to be able to have an army up and running a bit faster. Your enemies down there in the south are the Dark Elves, and in most cases, I'm saying most because recently in 6.0 the vassals have been doing better, but in most cases your vassals won't really deal with anything like that. So whilst you're doing the usual with Valkia, which means going down to take out Sigvald so you can get another Dark Fortress, and expanding throughout the Chaos Waste and maybe Norska, you could have another Lord pop up and start pushing his way into the Dark Elf lands, hoping to dear God, well, dear Khorne, that your vassals are actually going to help out too. Which, like I said, from what I can see, Update 6.0 has made the vassals a little bit more active, so I'm able to take out Sigvald without having to worry too much. We've had the Mung pushed down into the Dark Elf lands, and that means that I've got my other army supporting them without too much of an issue, and I'm just gifting to the Ungouls now so I can focus on expansion as much as possible. The campaign definitely feels like a little bit less strain for Valkia, which is great. Regarding the Blood Speakers, they can't turn into Demon Princes. You've already known this if you've seen the Battle video and the Standard Khorne video. But as a Warriors of Chaos Lord, they do get access to boons, so you can get them a little bit stronger there with extra missile resistance, character experience gain, or even some weapon strength. All of those are pretty beneficial to you, and you'll be getting those naturally. It's just getting into combat, essentially. The big benefit of Omens of Destruction alongside general Khorne stuff for Valkia is you'll get upkeep production as you start getting more authority, and your Blood Speakers get extra upkeep production for the Skull Reapers and the Wrathmongers, so picking them up is always quite useful. It's just, in most cases, you're going to see them in groups of one. But if you're going to be focusing around Blood Speakers, you're going to want to get your hands on some Skull Reapers as soon as possible, as the damage output for them is really good. And just a quick note, because I did have a lot of people asking, both Sylar and Scar are usable by Valkia. Sylar focusing around the reduction of upkeep for monsters, such as the Spawn and the Blood Beast, and Scar focusing again on the Wrathmongers and Skull Reapers. So you're going to want to bring them in if you can. Let's talk about this because we're at turn 40. I feel like this has been my smoothest campaign ever. Within 40 turns, I managed to get rid of Grombrindal, Sigvald, and Hellebron, not in that order, obviously. I am fighting against Malice, and I haven't had any issues with dealing with Malice, to be honest. And also with Malekith. Both at the same time. The Vassals have been pushing out. The Vassals have actually been expanding quite heavily. I've ended up getting 3 Vassals. We're pushing in there. I can get a few auto-resolves. Auto-resolves feel very good right now for the Warriors of Chaos, which I feel is kind of odd. I've never had that many great auto-resolves. I'm playing around here. I believe this tester was on hard, because what I normally do is every single type of campaign difficulty just to kind of get my bearings in. Now, you're still going to have to be gifting settlements to your vassals, because in some cases they're just going to dump out, but in most cases you are able to push out a lot faster. Having a cheaper lord, which is also going to dramatically reduce the upkeep of quite higher tier units, is going to make the campaign a lot better for you. Valkia has always been fun, but it's been a slog at the beginning, because the moment the AI starts turning its attention to you, like, you know, Grombrindal, Malice, Malekith, sometimes even a Lithanart, his AI gets a bit weird, right? It definitely becomes a dogpile. I think that the Blood Speaker does bring a lot in, especially as you start getting Skull Reapers. It would be a lot better if you had access to Skull Reapers in a more natural progression, but the campaign feels a lot better. This is a good push. I like when a DLC benefits other DLCs. There's not much to talk about when it comes to the Beastmen. We might have a Beastmen video coming out. I'm not 100% too sure because it's literally just one unit. But the Warriors of Chaos getting a stripped down version of what they got in Thrones of Decay is not ideal, and that's why I wanted to do this video, because if enough people talk about it, then Creative Assembly could change it. Obviously, if they get permission from Games Workshop. We don't know exactly what happened here as to why this was a bit lesser compared to Thrones of Decay in terms of what units benefit what. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion. I'll be live on twitch.tv/thegreatbook of Grudges. I'm not sure what faction because I'm recording these a few days in advance. So yeah, pop by, say hi, talk about the DLC. We got a lot to talk about. Have a great day, everyone.